My name is Leela K. Forga Power, and today I will be talking about the contribution of pornography addiction to sexual dysfunction in men. So, some hypotheses for the effects of porn addiction include that porn addiction is linked to dopamine pathway desensitization. So, basically, this cycle of use, abuse, dependence, escalation, followed by withdrawal, causes a decrease in the amount of dopamine receptors somebody has. Therefore, they need an increased amount of whatever substance or activity it is that is causing a dopamine release in the first place. Now, dopamine is responsible for pleasure, so this explains situations like substance abuse as well as porn addiction, because somebody will need more and more and more of a substance or activity in order to feel a sense of pleasure. Next is sexual arousal becomes linked to virtual stimuli rather than physical stimuli. So basically, it's very possible that someone who is addicted to porn may not be able to become aroused with a physical partner because they are so used to their content that they watch. Their content is able to arouse them, but their partner is not. The next is that escalation of porn content required for arousal is associated with difficulty becoming aroused with real partners. So oftentimes in porn addiction, the extremity of the content that is being watched increases. This is considered escalation. And since that is oftentimes not reflected in one's own life with a real partner, it can be difficult to become aroused to something that is less extreme when this person is used to watching something more extreme. And then performance anxiety, avoidance, and difficulty adjusting to real partners when sexual situations arise. This is possible due to the fact that porn content is often viewed alone. Therefore, it takes all social aspects out of the activity, which can make it difficult when faced with a real-life social situation involving sex. Another possibility is that the person addicted to porn may develop erectile dysfunction, which can be extremely embarrassing. And so this can also lead to anxiety, avoidance, and difficulty adjusting because just the embarrassment alone will make them want to avoid being in a social sexual situation. Findings of existing research suggest that higher frequency of porn use is positively correlated with psychologically induced ED, or erectile dysfunction, meaning that there is no physical cause, and that excessive or unhealthy porn use or habits are linked to an increased prevalence of erectile dysfunction in young men. Studies have also found that porn addiction mimics neural pathways connected to addiction in response to porn usage. That there is decreased sex drive or libido and arousal with partners, and that problematic usage yields stronger effects than casual usage. And problematic usage can be anything that's habitual and excessive. And as you can see to the right, there are two bar graphs that show the connection between cyber pornography addiction test scores and erectile dysfunction. Erectile dysfunction is in green. And also the bottom graph, which shows the correlation between pornography consumption time and erectile dysfunction. And as you can see for each, as the quartile, the value increases, both score and time, the cases of erectile dysfunction also increase. Now, to interpret these findings, basically habitual and excessive stimulation desensitizes the reward system, leading to reduced arousal with partners. This is seen in most addictions, especially involving substances. But basically, what happens in the case of porn addiction is that someone watches porn, they have dopamine released. This dopamine causes a feel-good sensation of pleasure, often called a dopamine rush, which reinforces this activity of watching porn. So the watching porn, that activity increases, and when that activity is not available, anxiety tends to occur, which causes the person with a porn addiction to seek more porn. So problematic porn usage leads to decreased arousal, which leads to erectile dysfunction or anxiety, which causes them to return to their problematic porn usage because sexual responses become dependent on porn usage. Basically, partnered intimacy is avoided. Emotional connection becomes difficult, and erectile dysfunction in real-life sexual situations strengthens porn dependence because if someone cannot have pleasure in a real-life sexual situation and they're unable to become aroused, then the only way that they are able to get that dopamine rush related to sex is through their porn usage. So, evidence supports that there is a link between compulsive porn usage and sexual dysfunction during partnered sexual situations. Basically, habitual and excessive porn usage can cause problems when someone is faced with a real life physical sexual partner. So, that is very unfortunate, and many relationships, I'll add this as a side note, but many relationships do suffer because of this. And porn addiction can start at any age in a man's life. So it is important that people are taught about being responsible, not only physically, but also online when it comes to porn usage and sex. Now, the porn addiction and sexual dysfunction link is not created by the frequency of the usage alone, but by the lack of control, needing more extreme content to become aroused, and habitual usage. So, basically, those four factors: frequency, lack of control, escalation, and habit. So, those are what cause sexual dysfunction in a porn addiction. Lack of control basically refers to not being able to go without the porn. And then habitual usage, again, could be anything from using porn right before bed every single night, or right after sex with a real life partner, or just anything that is very habit forming that can lead to a porn addiction. And then findings may be used to develop screenings and treatments, also further education especially for youth. We do not have enough education currently on porn and how it should or should not be used. And finally, future studies should be more diverse and include women. Unfortunately, we don't have very much data about women and porn's effects on women who watch porn, because women do watch porn despite common misconceptions. It would also be interesting to see a more diverse group for studies to be done. That goes as far as age, race, religion, etc., nationality even. even by profession. Just to see studies be more diverse, that would be a great future direction for these types of studies. Thank you.